boardroom was immaculate, sunlight slicing through the floor-to-ceiling windows, reflecting off the polished marble floor. A line of elegant women stood waiting, dresses in soft neutrals, heels clicking softly against the surface. Every one of them was confident, poised, radiating ambition. Yet they all knew the unspoken truth. The man at the head of the room barely noticed them. He was Alexander Cole, 35, the CEO of one of the most successful tech firms in the country. Sharp suit, sharper eyes, confidence that filled the room. He scanned the line of women, all perfectly styled, but his gaze felt cold, indifferent, almost absent. They had tried to impress him countless times: boardroom lunches, corporate events, charity galas. He had smiled politely, listened, occasionally, but no one had ever reached him. Then she walked in. Her name was Emma Hart, 22, the new intern. She moved differently. Less polished, yes, but graceful in a natural way, like sunlight moving across the floor. She wore a pink crop top and a white pleated skirt, a fluffy beige jacket hanging loosely over her shoulders. In one arm, she carried a small teddy bear plush, in the other, a red lollipop. A tiny strawberry-shaped hair clip held back her chestnut hair. She didn't look like she belonged in this corporate world, and that was exactly why she drew his attention. Alexander froze for a fraction of a second, not out of shock, not out of disbelief, but because the energy she carried filled the room, in a way no high-heeled elegance ever had. Her smile was hesitant but honest, her posture natural, uncontrived. "Good morning, Mr. Cole," she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. Yet somehow it echoed in his chest louder than the polite greetings of the women who lined the room like mannequins in designer dresses. He blinked. The women shifted nervously. One of them cleared her throat, trying to pull him back into the routine, but he couldn't. Not this time. He studied her closely. The small details, the tiny strawberry clip, the way she hugged the plush to her chest, the innocent tilt of her head. Everything about her made him pause. He realized he hadn't felt this alive in years. Not at meetings, not at product launches, not even at the parties where wealth and power competed like a spotlight on shallow faces. "Emma, welcome," he said finally. His voice was steady, but there was a warmth underneath it. A curiosity. That had been dormant too long. The other women glanced at one another, confused and irritated. This was not how things were supposed to work. They had prepared for this moment, rehearsed conversations, carefully chosen outfits. And yet here was a young intern, barefoot in innocence compared to their polished ambition, and she had captured the CEO's attention without even trying. Emma gave a small nod, her fingers curling around the teddy bear. She felt his eyes, but didn't flinch. There was a subtle confidence in her, a quiet determination. She didn't need to command attention, she naturally drew it. The room fell silent. For the first time, Alexander realized that charm and elegance could only do so much. Real presence, authenticity, could not be faked, and she had it in abundance. He cleared his throat and gestured toward the glass-paneled conference table. "Let's start with introductions." As the women stepped forward, rehearsed lines ready, Alexander couldn't tear his gaze from her. Something about her felt like a spark, a tiny flame that promised warmth in a world that had grown cold. And in that moment, amidst the polished floors, elegant dresses, and the soft hum of corporate air conditioning, he understood. He wasn't just intrigued, he was captivated. She smiled again and the world shifted. It was the kind of first sight that changed everything. She smiled again and the world shifted. The room seemed suddenly smaller, edges sharper, colors brighter. Alexander could feel the weight of his own pulse, an unfamiliar rhythm, a tug he couldn't explain. He listened as the other women presented themselves, voices practiced, words polished, but his mind wandered. Only one presence mattered. Emma took a seat at the far corner, near the sunlight spilling in through the windows. She arranged her notebook with care, yet her hands trembled slightly. She was an intern, inexperienced, yet she moved with a quiet dignity that pulled attention despite herself. Throughout the day, Alexander found reasons to watch her. She asked questions that were simple yet insightful. She noticed small details in reports that others overlooked. She laughed quietly at moments when others remained stiff. Every subtle movement, every thoughtful glance drew him closer without her even realizing it. He caught himself thinking about her long after she had left the boardroom. He wondered about her life, her dreams, the stories hidden behind her soft smile. He had spent years surrounded by people who wanted something from him: power, money, influence. But she only seemed real. By the second week, he was scheduling meetings just to see her interact with the team. He didn't want to interfere, didn't want to appear distracted, but he couldn't stop himself. There was a magnetic pull, a connection he couldn't define. His assistants noticed his new preoccupation, whispers spreading silently through the office. One evening, he stayed late. The office was quiet, lights reflecting off the glass walls. He saw her struggling with a presentation in the conference room. She was calm but frustrated, fingers drumming lightly on the table. "Do you need help?" he asked, stepping into the doorway. She looked up, startled. Then she smiled, that soft, honest smile that made his chest tighten. "I think I've got it, but thank you," she said. "Are you sure?" His tone was gentle, almost paternal, but there was an undeniable undercurrent of interest. She nodded. "Yes, I'll manage." He lingered. There was something about her determination, her resilience, that made him want to protect her, yet respect her autonomy at the same time. He realized that he wasn't just drawn to her looks, he was drawn to her essence. Days turned into weeks. Alexander's colleagues whispered, speculated, but he paid no mind. He only noticed the small things, the way her hair fell across her face, the subtle blush when she laughed, the way she never tried to impress, yet always left an impression. He began to imagine moments outside the office. Coffee breaks that lingered too long, walks in the city after work, late nights discussing books, music, dreams. The thought made his chest ache with anticipation. Emma, unaware of the storm she had stirred, continued her work with quiet diligence. She liked him, of course, but only as a mentor, someone intimidating yet kind. She didn't yet understand that every glance, every word, had imprinted itself into the deepest parts of him. Then one afternoon, she tripped over a stack of papers, letting the teddy bear slip from her arm. Alexander caught it mid-fall. Their eyes met, and for a heartbeat the room disappeared. "Are you okay?" he asked, voice soft, controlled, but barely holding back the tide of emotion. "I'm fine," she said, but her voice wavered slightly. She looked down at the bear in his hands, and for a fleeting moment their hands brushed. It was enough to ignite something that would consume him completely. Alexander couldn't sleep that night. Thoughts of her danced in his mind like firelight. He replayed every moment, her laugh, the way she tilted her head, the subtle way she held her teddy bear. He realized with startling clarity that he was falling in love. By the next morning, he tried to compose himself. The office was buzzing, but his attention was a singular beam, always finding her. Emma greeted him politely, unaware of the storm he felt. He wanted to tell her, to confess, but the professional boundaries held him back. Yet fate seemed determined. During a team meeting, a problem arose that only Emma could solve. She stepped forward, calm under pressure, and solved it with an elegance that stunned everyone, including Alexander. He watched her in awe, heart thudding, knowing he could never see her as just an intern again. After the meeting, he invited her for coffee in the lounge. Alone. No witnesses. "Alexander?" she asked, hesitant, sensing the unusual tone in his voice. "Emma, I need to be honest," he said, his gaze unwavering. "You've changed something in me. I feel more alive than I have in years. You make me want to be better, to care about more than work." Her eyes widened. Don't understand, I know," he said softly, stepping closer. "I'm your CEO. There are rules, boundaries, expectations, but my heart doesn't care about any of that. It only cares about you." Emma's lips parted in surprise. She had never seen this side of him, vulnerable, open, real. And yet, the intensity in his gaze made something inside her stir. "I don't know what to say," she whispered, clutching her teddy bear tighter. "Say nothing," he said gently. Just feel. They spent the afternoon together, talking, laughing, sharing small secrets. For the first time, Alexander felt something he hadn't in years: connection, not power; trust, not control; love, not strategy. But as the sun dipped behind the city skyline, reality crept back. Emma was young, her career just beginning, and he was the CEO of the company she worked for. The disparity was huge, yet impossible to ignore. "I should go," she said softly, standing. This can't." He reached out, holding her hand for a brief, electrifying moment. "Emma, it can if we're brave enough." Her heart pounded. She wanted to believe, yet fear tugged at her. I need time." "Take all the time you need," he said, his eyes never leaving hers. "But know this, my heart already chose you." The world outside continued without pause. Colleagues passed, emails pinged, the city buzzed. But inside that lounge, time had slowed, and Alexander knew without a doubt that nothing would ever be the same again. "Take all the time you need," he said, his eyes never leaving hers. "But no. This me heart already chose you." Days passed. Emma navigated her work with care, and Alexander kept a respectful distance, though his thoughts never strayed far from her. Every smile, every small gesture, lingered in his mind like music. Every time she laughed, even softly while typing at her desk, his chest tightened with a longing he hadn't felt in years. Then one rainy evening, the office cleared. And the city. Streets glistened with reflections of neon lights, the rhythm of raindrops against the glass a quiet symphony. Alexander found her standing at the windows, gazing at the falling rain. She held her teddy bear close, but her eyes seemed distant, caught somewhere between hope and hesitation. "Beautiful, isn't it?" he said softly, stepping beside her. She nodded, but didn't turn to him. "Yes, but I don't know if I'm ready for sus," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the gentle patter of rain. He turned her gently toward him, holding her hands. "Emma, love isn't about readiness, it's about truth. And my truth is that I've fallen completely for you. No one else. Nothing else. I've never felt this way before. You make everything brighter, lighter, more alive." Tears pricked her eyes, and she blinked them away, trying to hide the quiver in her lips. "Alexander, I think I feel the same," she whispered, the words trembling between them like fragile glass. He smiled, relief and joy mingling, and pulled her close. The glass walls of the office reflected their silhouettes, two hearts intertwining amidst the polished world outside. For a long moment, they simply held each other, listening to the rain and feeling the pulse of a connection that had grown beyond. Words. Weeks turned into months. Rumors surfaced, whispers about the CEO and the intern, but they faced it together, honesty as their shield. Their bond grew deeper, rooted in admiration, respect, and a love neither had expected to find in a corporate. Mazie. Alexander never stopped marveling at her authenticity, her innocence that wasn't naive but powerful. She brought light to his structured, calculated world. She reminded him that life was more than contracts and meetings. It was laughter, joy, and quiet, ordinary moments that carried extraordinary meaning. Emma learned from him too, not just business wisdom, but patience, understanding, and courage. They shared mornings over coffee, evenings watching city lights, weekends wandering bookstores and parks. Each day was a lesson in trust, each night a discovery of hearts learning to speak without words. One evening, he led her to the rooftop of the building. Rain had stopped, and the city glimmered below them. "Emma," he said, voice soft, trembling, slightly with emotion, "I want you to know that I will never take this love for granted. Every day with you is a gift, and I want to spend my life making you feel cherished, safe, and loved." She held his face, eyes glistening. "Alexander, I trust you. I've never felt safer or happier. You've shown me a love I didn't think existed." He leaned in, forehead to hers, and whispered, "Then let's face everything together." Emma nodded, clutching her teddy bear with one hand and holding his with the other. "Together," she said, her voice steady, filled with certainty and warmth. The city hummed outside, lights reflecting like stars. Their love had started unexpectedly, amidst walls of glass and ambition, but it had grown fiercely, purely, beyond. Titles beyond appearances. Every glance, every touch, every small smile between them was a testament to the fact that love could bloom where least expected, survive against odds, and shine brighter than the tallest skyscraper dot. And as they stood, there hand in hand, hearts synchronized, they didn't need the world's approval. The glass around them, the polished floors, the endless city below it all faded. All that remained was the truth of two souls finding home in each other. They had discovered that love wasn't just about grand gestures or societal expectations. It was the quiet moments, the shared smiles, the unspoken understanding, and the courage to let themselves fall completely. And in that realization, Alexander and Emma knew they had found forever.